champion of the Constitution, the man who's never voted for a tax increase, never voted to give more for our private insurance, a historic candidate, a statesman, an honorable man to lead this country in the right direction. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Ron Paul.
Sense foreign policy, and we can have that again if we do the job. So I welcome you here tonight. I am so delighted that you could come out. Before I get any further along in my remarks, I would like to introduce two members of my family that are with me tonight. I have two granddaughters. They are sisters, but they're sitting over here, and I'd like them to stand up. One's in college and one's in medical school, and they're on Christmas break, so they like going on trips like this, and they like to get some. So, but it is a real delight to see the wonderful turnout. This is fantastic, and there has certainly been some momentum building. And I have been, talking about the freedom message and trying to improve our government and to deliver a message for a long time. And there was a time where, to me, as far as I was concerned, if somebody would listen, I would talk, and I would go around the country, and sometimes I could get 15 people to come out, and sometimes 20 people. But it was always one-on-one. So to me, it's a delight to find out what is happening, because something big has happened in these last 4 years. Something in the country. Some negative, but some things that are very positive. The negative things are that the economy has crashed. And the American people have finally gotten around to being sick and tired of all our wars that we're fighting overseas. Right. 10 years is long enough to be fighting no-win undeclared wars, and it's time we just brought our troops home. But economically speaking, something dramatic has happened. During the last campaign, I remember when I started in 2007, we did talk about the economy, and I was talking about the economy and worrying about the recession that was pending. But most of what we're facing today is rather predictable. If you come across the Austrian Free Market School of Economics, you will realize that you can predict trends, you cannot predict timing. Sometimes you will say, well, there's a bubble forming, and we can recognize a bubble. It wasn't too difficult to recognize the housing bubble and an asset bubble. But what you don't know is the precipitating factor which causes the bubble to burst. But in the last 4 years, obviously in 2008, the bubble burst, and we have been suffering from that. And Europe is in turmoil, the world is in economic turmoil, and it has not even come close to being resolved. Because the bubbles and the problems came about because governments were too big worldwide, and in our country too big. We spent too much money, we taxed too much, we borrowed too much. Then we resorted to this foolish notion that all we have to do if we come up short, just print the money and it'll solve all our problems. So we know that doesn't work, and this is the reason that actually I got involved in politics and economic issues back in the 1970s. When we lost our last link to gold, the last restraint on printing money. And you would think that if people knew the government would just print money, the confidence would be destroyed overnight. wasn't. Matter of fact, there's still some confidence in the dollar, and this thing goes on and on. So we bailed out the banks already, we bailed out the corporations, we keep spending money, the deficit continues to explode. Our Federal Reserve and our Treasury officials are over in Europe promising that we're going to bail out Europe and Greece and all that debt. But I think the American people are way ahead of those planners, and they realize that this can't continue, and we got to get a handle on it and rein in big government. In the 1970s, what we could anticipate what would happen is if we allow governments to print money, it means that the politicians really get a free ride. They can act irresponsibly. They can do whatever they think they want to do in order to buy some votes. And that is exactly what happened for various reasons. Conservatives might want to spend for one reason, liberals for another reason, and they did. And taxes would go up, but then people were overtaxed, and people didn't like to be taxed, and the politicians didn't like to hear about the complaint of their taxes going up. So we started borrowing a lot of money. Our dollar was good, so we were able to borrow around the world until the debt got so big that the interest rates started going up, and some people don't like interest rates to go up, so we have to keep interest rates down. But you don't want to stop what they think is an economic growth. So what they resort to, because even under those conditions there were no savings, so there was no money to borrow. So what they do is they went to the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve was there to buy up all the debt, and that is coming to an end. That is the message. It's coming to an end around the world. It's coming to an end with our government, and we have to make a decision. What do we want from our government? You know, there's a real easy place to start on what kind of government we should have. Why don't we just insist on everybody we send to Washington to obey the Constitution and limit the Just think, since World War II, we probably wouldn't have fought any wars. How much wealthier would this country have been? Nobody has attacked us in these last 50 years. We've never even declared war. They don't even go to the Congress. They don't even ask the Congress, which is usually the people through your members of Congress. So we haven't voted to declare war. How many wars have we been in? Now, the presidents don't even bother acknowledging or notifying the Congress. This last time, we went into Libya. You say, oh, that's just a little war. It's just a couple $1 billion. Why worry about that? But it's because we take them under our wing. We process that. We didn't send in the troops, and it was our money and our airplanes and our bombs, and a lot of people got killed. Now, yes, Gaddafi was a bad guy. We didn't need him around, but was it our responsibility to get rid of him and put in and allow another government to come in who's probably more aligned with the Al-Qaeda than even Gaddafi was? It doesn't bear good fruit. There are too many unintended consequences. And now what's the president asked us to do? To sell and to provide weapons for the new government in Tunisia. Who do you think benefits from the weapons industry? The people who make the weapons. You don't benefit by us passing out weapons around the world. So the special interests are a lot of times behind our foreign policy. Eisenhower warned us about this. Watch out for the military-industrial complex. There are profiteers in it. So we seem to have had a need to always have some monster out there that we had to destroy. They were on the verge of invading our country and destroying our liberties. Well, I'll tell you one thing that we can be proud of. We have a strong military, and nobody is going to invade this country. There's no chance. We have more weapons than everybody else put together, so that's scaremongering. Every time they have another country that they want to get us to support to go into, it's only an excuse for us to have another war. We've been in Iraq, Pakistan, and Afghanistan, Turkey, in Egypt. We propped them up for 30, 40 years, $40 billion. And they finally overthrew the dictatorship that we were propping up. And guess what? The people had taken it over. There's still civil war going on over there. And once again, it introduced the Al-Qaeda. And they're in charge. Now, not in charge, but they're influencing. But this has been going on for a long time. You know, we're supposed to say that all the blame has to be blamed on one individual in Iran for all our problems. But you know, we as a government has messed around with that part of the world way too long. They had an elected government in 1953 wanted their oil